Which one do I tackle first?
What, you mean the mess in our homes right now?
No, not the mask so much that, there's never, there's never enough time to do everything you need to do. There's always something you can do at home, always.
Right?
Right? I'm always downsizing and paring down.
Huh.
That's always my thing.
See, that's why I have to work at Fat Pipe, because it keeps me from looking at the dirty dishes. It keeps me focused on working.
Good morning, everyone. We are live on YouTube, and this session is being recorded. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Hey, Paul, you made it.
Yeah, just in time delivery.
Yay!
It was fun.
Right.
I had a session with students at UNM.
Oh, cool. We are one minute away from kicking off here.
They wanted to learn what else you can do with a PhD besides an academic career. And it turns out there was like 20 of them. So far, according to the host, none of them wanted to go into academia. They all wanted to do something else. And they're terrified because all their professors know how to do is have an academic career. So.
Right.
And that's why you're a superhero, Paul.
He is.
Okay, Jedi.
Well, they asked me about risk, and I'm like, I'm not the person you want to talk to about risk tolerance. I'm on an extreme end of the scale.
Oh, it's all your fault. I'm starting a new business, so
there you go.
Kind of.
Well, you know where you can present on it once you get your first client.
I know, right? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Everybody who happens to have a business with at least one paying client should apply to 1 Million Cups. And that's a great time for me to kick this off. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. And before we get started, I'd love to hear from, have at least 3 people introduce themselves this morning. And so I saw someone named Ralph joined us this morning. I don't think I've met you before. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I am Ralph McClish, brand new to the group.
Yay!
I've gotten a lot of invitations, but I finally just said, you know what, I need to go. And I have an association management company. We handle the state of New Mexico's osteopathic physicians, as well as a national specialty group for otolaryngology and ophthalmology, which are otolaryngology is ear, nose, and throat physicians, and ophthalmology are eye surgeons with a small mix of facial plastics.
Okay, very cool. Welcome this morning, Ralph. Let's see, who else? Who would like to unmute themselves and introduce yourself to the group?
This is Jim Morrison.
Okay.
I had joined a couple weeks ago with the presentation on RoboCash. I think Lisa asked if I would introduce myself, but I was multitasking and was not in a position to unmute and turn on my camera. I'm glad to be here. This has all been very interesting so far. I'm a CTO, most recently with Justice Systems here in Albuquerque as CTO for 13 years. They were recently acquired, well, a couple years ago acquired, and I just finished up my post-acquisition transition task there. So while I'm looking for my next long-term opportunity, I'm doing some consulting and seeing what pans out.
Awesome. Well, welcome this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Who else would like to? We got one more space. Who would like to unmute and introduce themselves? And you know what? I am going to suggest Dan. Dan Heron.
Hey everyone, my name is Dan Heron. I run an entrepreneur community called Activate New Mexico and love to partner with 1 Million Cups, and you'll be getting to see 5 really wonderful new startups launching and introducing themselves next week.
Awesome. Yay. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Well, those are our 3 introductions for this morning. I'm going to move on with our, just to talk a little bit about what 1 Million Cups is. And if you've never attended before, it's very different than most other networking events. So Here we go. Whoops. Our mission is to lower the barriers of access to education, resources, and connection throughout the United States. My computer's being weird. Whoops. Let me go back. All right. We work towards this mission by being consistent. And by being consistent, number one, we never cancel except on holidays. And just FYI, we are not going to have a presentation on December 23rd. So mark that on your calendar. But otherwise, we are always on. Even if the presenter cancels, we usually have a panel to share ideas and key information for our entrepreneurs. We are also consistent in that we coach our presenters. If you're a business and you are for profit and you have at least one paying client, we coach you to present because no one wants to be pitched to here at 1 Million Cups. We're here to help entrepreneurs. So we coach people to share their journey. We also, as of today, for today's presentations, we like to have organizations that help entrepreneurs share like a 3-minute presentation about what they can do, what services they offer. And so today's presentations are really resources for entrepreneurs. So that's how we keep it consistent. And you see the map, that's us all alone out there in the middle of New Mexico. They've tried to start one in Santa Fe, but it just doesn't quite get kicked off. So we are here all alone, but we're doing an awesome job. And what's nice is being virtual, right? Everyone from the state can join us. And our key pillars for 1 Million Cups is that it is a presentation, not a pitch. We work with authentic connections, not networking. So if you're ever in person, we're not a group that just hands each other their business cards. We create real connections for real partnerships, real ideas, real friendships. So, which is great. And then we encourage that also here at the end of the presentations, everyone will have a chance to break up into rooms. So you'll get to talk to each of the presenters, or you'll get to talk to Paul about COVID and that sort of thing. So Jason's happy about that. All right. And then it's run for the community, by the community. And we want to be radically and intentionally inclusive. And like I said before, if you have a for-profit business, if you have at least one paying client, we want you to apply. And the reason we ask that you have a paying client is because often if you're just a startup idea, you think you know what you're going to be selling, but once you actually make that sell, you've had to sort of pivot. And so your presentation that you had and all that feedback and ideas that you had from the audience is kind of a moot point. So we want you to at least have one sale so you know exactly which direction you're going. And when I said for the community, by the community, these are our awesome organizing team. We have Paul Zotter, Bob Cicinandele, Lisa Adkins, who's my co-lead, Adam Sparks-Brechtel, Eric Renz-Whitmore, and of course me. And these are all our awesome sponsors. So when we meet at FabPipe ABQ, which is a co-working space. So if you're like me and you don't want to see the dirty dishes while you're working, go to FabPipe. Great internet, kitchen, lovely courtyard. Might be a little cold today. We also have Loza and Loza. They usually pay for our coffee. Great intellectual property organization. They helped me register my company. And then we got More Than Organized. They pay for our creamer. We have Jason Collin Photography, and hi, Jason. He is our official photographer for 1 Million Cups. And then we have Noventum Custom Software, and they always bring the donuts, or sometimes Brian brings his own baked goods, which are really awesome. Pardon me. Okay, and I am going to hand this off to Adam, and he's going to introduce our first presenter for this morning.
Thanks, Sonia. Good morning. So we've got Hispano Chamber of Commerce is going to talk, and JJ Alcantar is their membership coordinator. And he's into this because he really wanted to give back to the entrepreneur community. He actually moved up the banking and the federal credit union ladder, but his dad was an entrepreneur and retired about a year or so ago. And he was thinking, I would really like to give back to that community because I saw how much he was able to do there. So this is JJ, and he's going to tell you about Hispano Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. Let me get my screen up to share. Hopefully everybody can see that. I'll do it in a slideshow. There we go. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Adam, thank you for that kind introduction. I'm really honored to be presenting in front of so many amazing people. Very excited to share, the great initiatives, events, awesome things that the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber is doing, and really share with you guys some of the value that we add. And just a little bit more about myself in regards to the banking history. I was with Nusenda Credit Union as Vice President of Operations, and like Adam said, I wanted to just, do something that was more meaningful, make an impact in the community. And the way that I do that now with the Chamber is to provide an opportunity where successful people can collaborate and partner. So that's the main reason why I took this role. So excited about that. So enough about me, but let's talk a little bit about the Chamber and who we are. So we celebrated our 45-year anniversary this year, which is pretty amazing. One of the misunderstandings and part of the application to present, it asked a question, what is a challenge for the Chamber? And one of them is everybody thinks you have to be Hispanic. So I wanted to get that misconception and misunderstanding out of the way right away and just show you guys some stats and some numbers. So we have a little over 1,500 members to date. Of those 1,500, as you can see, 60% are Hispanic-owned businesses, where the other 40% are non-Hispanic. So very diverse group, Native American, African American, Asian, Anglo, Caucasian. So we're very, very diverse. The other number that I'd like to share is just to show you kind of our backbone. Of those 1,500 members, 80% of our members are 20 employees or less. So the true backbone of the community. The other 20% are your large corporations, which help fund the Chamber, your usual suspects, P&M, UNM, Presbyterian, those types of things. So just a little bit of information there. So let's talk a little bit about the value add. And that was one of the other questions that I posed, is a lot of people that have either, been members in the past, it's, well, when I join, how are you going to add value to my business, right? Well, there's a few ways. The simple surface is you get access to our facilities, meeting, training, and workshops. All of our campus becomes yours as a member. I think for me, it's the exposure. Some people, their ROI is just leads and referrals. So as soon as you become a member, you get access to the full directory, which is gold to some people, because then you can market and promote however you want to all of our members, whether large or small, any industry. You get invitation to some huge events, and we have hundreds of events. Obviously, we're doing some hybrids right now, but they're still going on and we're very active. We have a weekly newsletter, sponsorships, things like that. One of the cool things that's very popular is we do a ribbon cutting at your brick and mortar business. So there's some of the cool things that we get to help you from an exposure standpoint. A couple of key members that we have are KRQE and Albuquerque Journal. So we also do a press release, those types of things. One of the ways that I think in addition of being part of our community, you have access to resources, connections, other business members, the ability to reach out to community through various programs, partnerships, collaborations. One thing that we started was committees. We didn't start with just one or two committees. The 8 that's up on the screen. We only had 1 or 2, but it's developed and grown as we've become more successful and more connected, I'll say. So as you can see, those are just some that we have today, but we are open. There's so many industries out there. Right now, we're working on an Old Town committee to help with traffic because, the lighting of the tree may not happen. So they've come to us and asked us for help. We have a lot of other cool events that we're doing that I'd like to even share with you guys to talk about in regards to COVID and resources, and I'll get to that. But the other thing that we offer is a lot of cool programs. And I it's a refresher to some of you on here because I'm sure you've heard of West and Small Business Development Center, the MBDA, the Minority Business Development Agency. The cool thing, though, is those are all housed at the Chamber. They're actually on our campus, and West is a huge partner of ours. So those are some of the resources you have at your fingertips with joining the Chamber. We have very specific series, a year-long program to help scale businesses. So depending on where you're at in your business, if you're a startup, if you have an idea and want to put it on paper, we can connect you with the right resources there at the chamber. So procurement, all those different things. But the last thing that I'll talk about is just the chamber in action. So, I want to, share with people, here's the things that we're doing now, like that are being, done today. We have a lot of COVID resources, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about and are also doing, whether it be PPE, helping restaurants, businesses get safe certified. We've done a lot of cool initiatives feeding the front lines. But what I'm most proud of is the other leg of the chamber is convention and tourism. So the hospitality industry has been hit pretty hard. But the cool thing that we did with COVID, as you can see there, we have staycation, daycation. The one that's the most popular is Monday morning music. So we had local artisans and musicians come to us and said, what about us? So what we did is we created this virtual and streaming it on Facebook and YouTube. And we actually put a little virtual tip jar so they can make money. And we put them up at a hotel. And we film it there so that we can interview the hotel GM or sales director along with the musician. So a lot of cool things. And that's why I like to say chamber in action, because we do a lot of cool different things. But that's basically all I wanted to share for the sake of time. I know that's a lot of info. It didn't really even cover most of on the slides. I kind of left it up, and I'll share this with everybody. Very overwhelming information. So I'll have a breakout room. I'd love for you guys to join that so I can share a little bit more about some of the COVID, some of the cool things we're doing, and let you guys ask any questions. I know I covered a lot of stuff. So, but again, thank you to Adam, the Chamber in Action as well. He recently joined, and some of the cool things we're going to do for him is get him in front of our board. He can definitely help an organization like ourselves in regards to process improvement and optimizing our performance. So we're excited about that partnership. So thank you again, Adam, and thank you, everybody.
Cool. Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm getting text messages and all sorts of things are going on, but I'm really curious. So your musical virtual time, how did you develop a tip jar? Like, how does that work?
So it's through, we had to work with YouTube, and then we also had to work with a local company, and I'll get you the connection on who helped us submit that in there. It's kind of like a GoFundMe type thing, concept,
Okay.
but that's how we did it. And we started out with like a small list of musicians. We weren't sure how it was going to work, and now the list has grown and people are coming to us to ask us. We want to be showcased on that Monday morning music. The thing that we do for the off week is we have a thing called Albuquerque Artisan. Whether you're a tattoo artist, a jeweler, a blacksmith, we want to showcase and highlight those local artists that are, New Mexico legends in some people's eyes. So we're doing a lot of those types of things right now that are pretty cool and we're excited about.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. So I'm trying to look for any questions that came up on the chat over here. And so we've got about 10 minutes as opposed to like the 20 minutes we usually have with the entrepreneur presenters. So with the community partners, we'll have about 10 minutes. So feel free to ask this question. Miriam's mentioned that she was on KRQE this morning, so that's kind of cool. And I'm looking for more questions. Okay, there's a new post. Okay. Yeah, so I just joined, as you pointed out, and I'm pretty excited about it, but there's a lot going on, and you guys have so much to offer. I'm a little lost on what exactly is going on. I got an email from someone, I don't remember her name, but it was talking about you guys have a new exec or something like that. Is that a good enough question, or is that more of a statement?
If that's for me,
yes. Oh yeah, I'm telling
okay.
you.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, no.
You're on the hot seat.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm membership director. We did promote somebody within who's now our vice president. Our president and CEO is Ernie Citabaca, and we have Connie Miller is our chief financial officer. So it's just a small group of a leadership team of us four. Right now we're in review of our board. We have 30 members on our board from, like I said earlier, P&M, UNM, Newsenda, a lot of big players, Facebook, Amazon, our new partners. We're really excited about that partnership. So it could be maybe something they saw from a board perspective, but as far as our leadership team, we've had the same team.
Cool. So as a new member, what's like the ways that I can really make good use of my time with Hispano Chamber of Commerce?
I think the immediate thing is what we do is we ask you set up what's called a landing page, and that gets you immediate exposure to every member, which Adam, you did, and I was very happy to see that. That's basically a push, almost essentially a press release to our whole membership database. Then we have a very specific onboarding process. And that's something that's near and dear to me, being fairly new to the chamber, that I want to, improve on, because we've had feedback in the past where members said, hey, I've joined and I didn't see value. So, that's something that I really want to change, that conception for sure, that misconception. So for me, it's that new onboarding process. After a week, we bring you onto a webinar to present you to our membership base, then to our board. Then we start talking about, okay, let's reach out to the other businesses and get you in front of them so that we can start doing consultations for them and really start getting you business. So there's a very specific onboarding process that we follow.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I joined was because it sounded like you guys were doing a lot of innovative things during this time. So you're doing a lot of like virtual things, and I don't know if pivoting is the right word for what you're doing, because you're still doing kind of the same thing, you're just doing it a different way. Or how would you explain that?
Yeah, that's a word that we throw around here quite often, is we've had to pivot. Life has changed, as you guys all know, and unprecedented times. So we've had a lot of sponsorships, whether in the health and medical field, that have provided us a lot of information, a lot of resources, PPE bags. So we got a cool grant from the city and the state that allowed us to get donations of hand sanitizer, different things. So we're using that. We had some partnerships with breweries and distilleries. We had Hull Spirits has been extremely active. They basically shut down, but turned their distillery into making hand sanitizer. So we partnered with them and we pivoted and started utilizing those resources. So yeah, there's just a plethora of things that we've done, and a lot of members that are extremely active, that are very creative. Like I showed that committees screen. We've had a lot of initiatives and grants even developed because of those different committee members, and it could be any industry. So I think that's what's exciting for sure.
Cool. So Miriam Ortiz has a question.
Good morning. I used to be a member of the chamber a long time ago, and it just got to the point where it wasn't really that effective for me, and mostly because there wasn't a lot of programming for small and micro businesses. Has that improved at all over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll answer the other question as well. To answer your question, yes, right off the bat, because again, that's some of the things that I've been tasked to do. Your question is not something I haven't heard before already, and that is something that I've already had to overcome. And so for me, that onboarding, those types of programs. But what I did is I started a new committee that's all local entrepreneurs and experts in different industries, and we're bringing them in to actually do workshops and help other small businesses like yourself and give them ideas. The one thing that we developed is that year-long series. So like the first one is like the first steps of opening a business. The second one is more scalable. Then the third one, you have to actually qualify from a profit margin standpoint. So we've actually created more procurement programs, true workshops to really help some of these smaller businesses. So that's something we've done. In regards to the top 3 focus areas for COVID, it's really a lot of restaurants. A lot of business, small restaurants have come to us asking for help to reopen, re-grand openings, things like that. So we're trying to focus on that and get them back into the community and get them some exposure for sure.
Great. And Miriam, would you quickly introduce who you are?
Oh, sorry. Miriam Ortiz-Pino. I'm with More Than Organized. I'm a professional organizer and business coach.
Great. And one of the things that we used to do, and this is one of the things I kind of try to be a stickler for when I'm coaching, when people come on or when you ask a question, mention your name and then where you're from, like I just asked Miriam to do. So the next person that had a question was Christian. Are you ready, Christian? So you're gonna tell you your name and then what your business affiliation is.
Got it. So I'm Christian Slough. I work in the Office of Civic Engagement at the city. And I just recently graduated from UNM with a business degree. So it's awesome hearing from all of you. And kind of with that, what type of support does the chamber give to small businesses, but specifically ones that are ran by people that don't speak good English or have limited English proficiency?
Love that. So we actually have a program. It's called Avanzar and Emprendedores. So it's specifically just for bilingual programs. And it's similar to what I just explained. But one of the things we've heard, and it has been refreshing, and I've shared this with Adam, it's been refreshing to hear business owners come to us and say, I'm an expert in this. That's all. I don't want to deal with legal issues and staffing, and I don't want to be sweeping my own floors anymore and doing like everything from A to Z. So what we've done is connected them with a lot of great resources. One of the areas that is untapped, Christian, is the South Valley. We have a lot of area that is completely untapped, and we actually hired 2 group in our membership team that are fluent in Spanish, because I'll be honest, I can walk into an establishment and speak Spanish, but I may not connect with them. And so we want that connection. We want them to be able to speak that language. And to some people that may not make sense, but for some it's basically that there's a different connection. So we have a lot of cool volunteer programs and a lot of, like I said, bilingual individuals that work now at the chamber that we didn't have in the past, which is unbelievable to me, being the Hispano Chamber.
Definitely. Thank you.
That's great. I'm kind of looking at my clock and also about the 4 great questions we have coming up. Sonia, what's our time plan here?
Got it. Keep going.
Great. All right.
We
So
gotta make sure the next presenter has time in breakout rooms. So
Yeah.
5 more minutes.
great.
Okay.
All right. So thank you. John Bell, you had a question for JJ. Please introduce yourself and your affiliation.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm John Bell, digital marketing executive, formerly with Travelers Insurance, most recently in Ogilvy before that, a recent transplant here in ABQ. Happy about it, by the way. And JJ, I think you may have already tried to answer my question because you framed it up before. Basically, it's, in our the COVID era restrictions of this past year and going forward, unfortunately, I'm just curious, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you're finding you have to do? I mean, we certainly see or hear about a lot of businesses, certainly retail businesses, trying to go e-commerce or trying to go digital in some way. Obviously, that's my wheelhouse. But I'm just curious, what are the top 2 or 3 things that are very pressing right now for members that you guys are helping with?
You've said 2 of them. Well, one of them for sure. One of them is just a stronger social media presence and a digital outreach. So we've created a program specifically for, marketing, and we have a lot of marketing, businesses that are members. So that's one. The biggest one, surprisingly, is staffing. With unemployment and things at where they're at, we've seen a lot of people come to us and say, do you have staffing agencies that we can reach out to, because nobody wants to work and we can't find good, reliable work. So I was amazed on how many people were, well, I shouldn't say amazed, but just not prepared from a financial standpoint. So we've also had to partner up with some commercial real estate and help. We've got some pay it forward programs to help save some businesses. It's been heartbreaking to see, being part of the chamber, you build relationships with these owners that have been in business for years. And when they come to us and say, I have to permanently close my doors, that's a tough blow. So the thing, John, I think, is just the education piece. They're just uneducated. They don't know what questions to ask, how to approach, how do I get to an agent? How do I save my property? So for us, it's been a few of those things, but I'd say staffing has been a big one. And then the digital outreach from a social media standpoint, because they were just not using that.
Thank you. And then we've got Clifton. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Clifton Chadwick. The business I have that has thankfully more than one customer is Comunicaciones Cocopelli. I do various aspects essentially around commercial and marketing, content creation.
We lost you. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I thought I lost your stuff. What's your question?
I want to ask JJ if he has plans to attend TASA, the bilingual Million Cups.
Yeah, so TASA is a program that we're very familiar with here at the Chamber. We participate every single week. I heard somebody from Activate New Mexico, so I'm hearing a lot of great connections here already, which is very exciting for me. But yeah, I have an employee specifically that's bilingual that goes to TASA, and then we work with TASA and then also Global Ties. They're a huge international partner of ours, so we work with Yudi is her name. So she's a great connection as well. But yes, Clifton, if I'm not there, somebody from the Chamber is always there.
Thank you. And then Daniel, you had one thing you wanted to volunteer for real quick?
I was just being a smart ass. No, I'm not. I do speak Spanish. So if you ever need any help with your bilingual entrepreneurs, please send them my way or tell me where to go and I'll show up.
I love it. And like I said, that's the chamber in action. So what we have is we have a lot of business and entrepreneurs that volunteer and facilitate some of our workshops and seminars. So yeah, if you're more than interested in that too, and that's great exposure for you and your business too. Absolutely. So Daniel, I appreciate that.
2 questions to wrap it up here. And before I do that, we're going to be breaking out into small groups or into the breakout rooms in a bit. And one of the things I like to promote right now at the breakout rooms is that you can now move in Zoom on your own from one room to the other. All you have to do is click on the breakout room logo, and then it'll give you a list of who's in which room, and you click on the room and join it. So I'm encouraged.
Please note that not all of us have the right settings in our versions. So some people can do that.
Do you know more about that?
No, because I went to research it this week and I kept getting put down this rabbit hole that didn't take me to the answer. So I don't know. I've not been able to crack it, and I'm quite familiar with Zoom. So
oh, well,
we'll see.
If it makes everyone feel better, I can do it. So so I'm encouraging that. So JJ, I've got 2 questions left for you. One is red or green?
Oh, Christmas, absolutely, all the time.
And then the other one is, how can we, as an entrepreneur community, help you and Hispano Chamber of Commerce?
And it really is, you know, I don't want to even say just join. I don't want that. You know, I want you guys to ask me questions, and for me, it's all about building trust and you know, learning everybody on here and getting to know, you know, you guys. So for me, it's just simply reach out to me, ask questions, and go from there. And if the membership is something that, you know, is in the stars, then we'll talk about that later.
Thank you. Sonia or Lisa now?
Hey, Adam, can I ask a question?
No,
in a
let's
breakout
save
room,
that for the
great.
breakout room,
Yeah.
Annie, and I've got you assigned there. So keep the breakout room requests coming. I can assign you now, and when the room's open, you guys will magically disappear into those rooms. Clifton, you got it. So our next community partner presentation is from the Mayor's Office of Civic Engagement. We have Christian Slough. Sorry, Christian, I should have
No worries.
gotten your how do you pronounce your last name?
Slough.
Slough. And Krista Johnson. So Christian is the Inclusion and Outreach Coordinator, and Krista is the Sustainability and Equity Coordinator. Their office collaborates with people and organizations to create a safer, more inclusive community, making city government more accessible and empowering people to contribute to the decision-making that affects their lives. So Christian and Krista, take it over.
Awesome. Thank you. Alrighty. Let me just see if I got my mouse right. Sweet. Alrighty. I want to start by saying that what we're all doing right now in this very moment is what our office and both of us definitely dream about. People coming together, giving advice, and helping one another. The Office of Civic Engagement partners with organizations to help grow volunteerism through our free engagement platform, Galaxy, which facilitates recruitment, logs volunteer hours, and helps elevate your work to the rest of the community.
So CJ and I are both AmeriCorps Vistas, and AmeriCorps Vista is a national service program that helps build capacity in nonprofit and public agencies. And CJ and I joined AmeriCorps Vista really to show the Albuquerque community the impact we can make when we work collectively as opposed to individually.
So far this year, we've had over 10,000 volunteers who have given over 35,000 hours. That's an $842,000 economic impact. And these numbers were from our annual report, which ended in July, so those numbers have increased since. And for a second, I want us to imagine ourselves packing boxes at a food bank. Is it fun packing boxes for 3 hours by yourself? You probably get a few dozen boxes done and go home without a second thought. And now I want you to imagine you and all of your coworkers at the same food bank for the same 3 hours packing boxes. How many more boxes do you think you'd get done? And how many more people do you think you'd feed together? And how much better did you get to know your coworkers in those 3 hours being outside of the office? You probably leave feeling more satisfied, accomplished, and more energized going back to work the next day.
And volunteerism has been shown to increase productivity, job satisfaction, employee retention, and it helps with team building. And so here in Albuquerque, we actually have many more opportunities than just packing food at the food bank. And you're certain to find something that you enjoy, but also, we have opportunities that help employees build skills and expand their networks as well. And so volunteerism for us is really about connection and being part of something larger than ourselves. And of course, if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that we truly need collaboration, compassion, and a greater sense of community. And so we have over 400 opportunities on our Galaxy site to choose from. And so in the breakout room, we'd love to connect you with those opportunities. We also have information on CARES Act funding, which relates to small businesses. So we'd love to see you in our breakout room here in a moment.
Sounds good. I noticed a lot of you chose your breakout room before hearing us speak, but no hurt feelings here.
And if Adam's comments are right, if you have the right version of Zoom, you can switch around too. So please post your questions in chat. Annie, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, hi. Christian, how do we, can anyone volunteer at Vista to volunteer with your organization? How do we reach out?
To volunteer with the city, I can drop the link into it. Anyone can volunteer, but to be an AmeriCorps Vista, you have to be, there's some clarification about being an American citizen. It's a lot different than the Peace Corps, but it's a one-year volunteer program where you get connected to a local organization, but you're paid by the federal government. So you're an employee of the government. And so it's a little bit different than volunteering. Us being a Vista is a one-year job.
Oh, okay, so it's a one-year term. So you can't just do like maybe the holidays or something for a week. Can you do something like that? Is that possible?
As a Vista, you cannot do that. But all the other volunteer opportunities in Albuquerque, the 400 that Krista was talking about, those are open year-round and change throughout the year. But Vista is like a one-year commitment. I guess you could say it's like when you enroll in the Army or enroll in the Peace Corps, you're committing to that as a job for a year. So
okay.
It's different. It's technically volunteering, or that's the way they phrase it, but it's a little bit different than the volunteer opportunities at the city.
Okay, so there's a difference, but can you volunteer either or in either way?
Not at Vista. Vista is specifically for a one-year job where you'd have to go through the applying process.
Okay.
So that's separate. That's just what me and Chris are. We're like employees as Vistas at the city.
Okay.
And
I'd like some more information on that, if that's possible.
Definitely.
All right.
I'll drop the link for Galaxy here in the chat right now.
Okay, thank you.
Annie, don't forget to introduce yourself so people know who you're with. Annie.
Oh, sorry. Annie Rosario, I'm from Core Community Housing, Sustainable Real Estate Development.
Great.
Thank you, Christian.
You're welcome.
John Bell, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I've introduced myself before. John Bell here, digital marketing dude. And so, first of all, I hope this doesn't mean that we only have you two for a year, because the Vista tour of duty. But that notwithstanding, my question is pretty simple. How is it different to volunteer through your office, rather the Galaxy system you keep describing, and what I'm used to, which is Volunteer Match? What's different about those two processes?
Krista, did you want to answer that?
Sure, I can. I can tell a little bit about that. So the Galaxy site is coming up on just about a year old. It would be a year old in January for the city itself. And so it, in terms of city government, that's very new. And we are really trying to kind of develop that and have that as a one-stop place for not just volunteers, but also, you know, the nonprofits and the other groups that want to manage their volunteers as well. So we really wanted to have that as a platform for the city, just a one-stop for everything volunteerism.
And on the business side, if she didn't already say this, when people are volunteering, it tracks all of the volunteer hours for you. It can log in through an app, so you don't have to manage that anymore. Or someone complained about having to call up the volunteers every time to say, hey, what hours did you log? So like, I think in a way you can kind of like put that out to the community saying, this is how many hours we had in a year. This is the economic impact that we had through our employees volunteering. So it's like an easy way to track everything and keep everything organized for you, where you don't have to go in and deal with all the organization of a volunteer program.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Great information in the chat window. Does anybody else have a question?
I think Paul wants to say something.
I just want to point out that 1 Million Cups is itself a volunteer opportunity recognized by the city. And back in the old days when we used to meet face to face, we got to go to that lunch when we saw all the volunteer groups represented there, and some people are doing some really, really spectacular work. And, you know, when a company takes, say, 20 or 30 people and says, okay, our company's decided to volunteer for this one activity, they really move the needle on that activity. So, you know, 1 Million Cups is a not as conspicuous as some of these other groups that have put in, you know, thousands of hours a year. But we do our part, and you get a lunch and you get a pin. So I encourage everybody to volunteer for something. I often coach students or people in career transition. And if they're not sure what to do, I always tell them to volunteer while they're looking, because some fantastic opportunities come out of volunteering. That's my pitch. I'm done.
And I want to add to that real quick, because the whole like UNM business school like really nailed this into my head. But the force that like business has to have an impact on the community, especially like outside of the normal operations that you have, when they're involved in these volunteer opportunities, especially like as a business, not as one individual going, it creates so much impact. And then if you just compound that on not just one business, but say the 1 Million Cups community, like you said, that really does move the needle and like creates so much more opportunity for people here in Albuquerque.
Jim Martinson, would you like to ask your question?
Thank you. Jim Mortensen, former CTO with Justice Systems, now freelance while I find the next long-term opportunity. I do some work with youth groups, and they are so sick and tired of virtual stuff from school and virtual everything. Is it clear on the Galaxy site which volunteer opportunities are open to youth groups? In the past, my experience is that a lot of volunteer opportunities require them to be 18 years old or to that effect.
That is still also true, I think. Carissa, you were about to answer that. You go ahead.
Yeah, I actually do not know specifically if you know, every single opportunity is very clear about the age range, but I believe on the site we can take volunteers as young as 14 years old.
Okay.
That's also something that I think like our office is meant to be here for the city. If there's an opportunity that you're looking for, contacting us for us to reach out to organizations. And if an opportunity doesn't exist, finding an organization that we can create a volunteer opportunity for that. So if there's something specific that you're looking to do, like the environment or education or whatever it is, we can hopefully find an organization and create that opportunity.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to vouch for the program at Ingenuity. We've had several Vista volunteers, and they are rock stars. You know, they really step up to the challenge and come up with all the things that us managers and, you know, day-to-day people don't have time to work on. They really knock it out. So if you haven't gotten yourself a Vista for your company, I really encourage it, and I'm happy to talk to anyone about the 5 or 6 success cases that we've had at Ingenuity. So great program. Thanks for presenting.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Adam, ask your question.
Krista, I hear that you have particular interest inside of the community there. So what are some particular opportunities you think would be great for businesses or that you like?
Yeah, so personally, I always opt for usually opportunities that are based outside or kind of environmentally oriented. So I love, planting trees or doing something like that. There's actually a couple opportunities that continuously pop up on the site where you can plant trees in various parts of Albuquerque. So I think that would be my favorite.
That's cool, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Clifton, you make a good point. Would you like to expand on that?
Well, we're talking a lot about these volunteer opportunities at CABQ.Galaxy, and we should not conflate them with the opportunities offered by Vista. As Christian was pointing out, one is an annual commitment, and the other is, and the annual commitment could be who knows where, and the other is all very specific to serving our own community here.
Good point.
Definitely. And I would say too, that's kind of also what led CJ and I here today, because not just, the connection with our office, but also the personal interest for us to be here and as young entrepreneurs ourselves. So thanks for having us.
Adam?
Thanks. So I guess I should introduce myself right this time. So I'm Adam Sparks Brechtel with Sparks Flow, and I've worked with New Mexico Trees. Do you guys work with them?
I believe they are on Galaxy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Also on that, since I'm talking, I'm wondering about people catching, because this is a big thing right now, catching COVID-19 or anything wild outdoor activities. My understanding it is non-existent, but I don't know. So is there anyone could speak to that? It might be a good idea.
Sounds like that belongs in the COVID discussion.
I'm just thinking that. Yeah.
But okay. I thought it'd be a good thing to talk about in ability to go volunteer too, because it's a big thing that's gonna hold people back.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can drop in the chat. We do have some opportunities for volunteering that are COVID safe. I would say that COVID has dramatically driven down like the opportunities. Some of them have tried to go virtual, but you can't replace everything. Like for example, we have someone in our office that they're creating little free libraries. If you guys, they're like mailboxes and you can open them up with free books. She's gotten 60 built partnering with a few different people here in the city. And so she's just looking for books to put in those throughout the city, and like diverse books. So not just like books I guess I would grow up on, but she's looking for ones written by like Hispanic or diverse populations for the diversity of Albuquerque.
Real quick, how do I find out about that? Where do I contact her?
I will drop that in the chat, and I'll
Thank
also give you her email after this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love that idea. That's awesome. So there are opportunities that don't put you in conflict and in crowds with people. So that's great. Any other questions before I ask the two standers? Then we'll go to breakout rooms. We're all good? All right, Krista, I'll ask you first, red or green?
I have to say green.
Good. And Christian?
I would say green as well.
Awesome. And what is it that this community can do for you?
Krista, would you like to answer that?
Sure. I would say, I think maybe one of two things. Obviously, it may be hard to find an opportunity right now if you're not interested in interacting in person, so that's understandable. But if there is something that maybe catches your eye or a virtual opportunity on our site, I say volunteer for our city. Our city needs you. And then also just to keep it in the back of your head that, volunteerism doesn't have to just be an individual activity, and it can be something that you really can tie into your work life or, strengthen your business that way. So just something to keep in mind.
Great. All right, I'm going to hand it back over to Sonia before we break out into rooms. Thank you so much, you guys.
Cool. Okay. I'm on. Okay. I just had to make sure I wasn't on mute. So one other thing we like to do is we like everyone to share their wins. So I will share mine. And if anyone wants to share their win, like I'd love to hear real quick what Miriam was doing on KRQE this morning. So my win is that, so I have started a focus in my company, Plottuckies, to help women of color publish. And my first author, Maria, wanted to publish her children's book, but she couldn't pay her illustrators. So her and I put together a crowdfunding campaign, which is now 108% funded. So excited. It's a bilingual children's book. So, and it'll be fully illustrated. If anyone wants to check it out, I'm putting, whoops, that was not what I wanted to put in the chat. Sorry, I was copying that. But I will put a link in the chat so you guys can take a look at it. It's, yeah, I'm really excited about where this has gone. So Miriam, you go next. And then if anyone else wants to share their win.
Yeah, so actually the segment I recorded this morning is going to be on tomorrow in the 7 a.m. hour. For a few years, I've been doing a regular segment on KRQE this morning about getting organized. And they happened to see the email I sent out when I got certified as the Money Breakthrough Business Coach. And they were very excited and interested in how that's different than organizing. So I get to talk about my Money Breakthrough stuff for the next year or so. So very exciting. Once a month, I get to be on there. It used to be consistent, so I could publicize it and tell everybody. Now it's kind of random since COVID. So tomorrow, channel 13, between 7 and 8 a.m. sometime it'll air.
Cool. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, who's next? And real quick, I'm sorry, before anyone else shares, if anyone wants to join Christian in his room, make sure to let Lisa know because she's setting that up. Okay, who's next? Who has a win?
Paul has 3.
Paul, go for it.
No, I was encouraging the third person to come forward. So we have to have 3 big wins.
Right, we have to.
Dan and Clifton both have wins. So let's hear those
right.
and then we'll go to breakout rooms.
Cool.
I've got one too when I get a chance.
Go ahead, Cliff.
You know, the pandemic, weird, but it turns out radio is an essential business. And I represent Kiwanis Broadcast Corporation. They produce Native America Calling, National Native News, and we syndicate a whole catalog of indigenous productions. You know, the census gave us a big chunk of money and chewed deep into inventory. But we have been sold out for the first time in the 7 years I've been working here this year. And I have to say that we've had a great deal of success helping drive virtual sales, virtual events, or I should say online sales, virtual events, etc. So it's just been kind of astounding to me. And I'm, you know, I don't even know what to say about it. It's weird.
Very cool. All right, Dan.
Pfizer had a big win, but we'll talk about that in the COVID room.
Hopefully it's a big win. We'll find out, right?
Yeah.
No, I just put a little article. I'm working with some folks to create a new angel startup collaboration event, and I think it's going to really lead to some angel dollars into some startups' pockets. And so you can check that out on the journal. I think it's going to be really cool.
Cool. And then Matthew, real quick, what's your win?
Matt's Mushroom Farm has gotten picked up by Whole Foods, so we're going to be expanding rapidly.
Woo, that's a big win. Awesome.
That is a big win. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All righty. I've got assignments done. Let's everybody wave goodbye to the people on YouTube. Say bye.
Bye, YouTube.